सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। नमः श्री शंकरानंद नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह सविलास महामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। In this chapter called Vidyananda, where the author is discussing the ananda or the happiness of a wise man, it is said that this happiness is described in the scriptures in a fourfold way. In four different ways, the happiness of a wise man is described. First is dukkha bhava, absence of dukkha, absence of any grief. That's one way that you find his happiness being described. Kamaptihi, another way you find the happiness of a wise man described is kamaptihi, attainment of all the pleasures. Kritakrityoham, third way is a sense of having done all that needs to be done. Fourth is praptak prapte prapyaham, a sense of having accomplished all that needs to be accomplished. So these are four ways in which we find the happiness of a wise person described in the scriptures. Of this, the first one, dukkha bhavaha, the absence of grief, is what is being discussed as to how we find that being treated in the scriptures. Said the dukkha or the grief can arise from two sources, aihikam, amushmikam, from the sources in this world or for the sources in the world hereafter. Meaning grief or pain can be there in this life and the life hereafter. In reference to that, a statement from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad has been quoted. Atmanam ched vijaniyat ayam asmiti purushaha. When this one knows the self that is kutas, changeless, or when one knows the self as Brahma, and when this knowledge is immediate, kimichan kasya kamaya shariram anusanjvaret, then for that person there does not remain any object of enjoyment as such, meaning there does not remain anything separate from himself, and therefore there is nothing that can be classified as an object of enjoyment. All that is included. An object of enjoyment is something that is separate from me, and then I want to make it mine, or I want to become one with it. So what is this whole idea of enjoying something? When I find a separation between myself and something else, and I want to be one with it, then there arises this desire to become one with it, meaning desire for experiencing that. But the wise man finds that he himself is everything. No, there is nothing remains separate from him, and therefore nothing falls in the category of something that is not enjoyed or not, that is something separate from him, and thus what we call the objectivity is lost. No more remains any what we call the real object of enjoyment. And secondly also he discovers himself as complete being, and therefore the desirer himself does not remain, because desirer is a product of a sense of incompleteness. When I have a sense of incompleteness or inadequacy about myself, then naturally there is a desire to become free from that inadequacy. So when he finds himself to be adequate, even the desirer does not remain. And that's how all the grief that can arise on account of entertaining desires, on account of striving to fulfill those desires, on account of gaining various experiences which may or may not be satisfactory, all that grief that one experiences, the wise man becomes free from all that grief. And this is how he becomes free from the grief here in this world. How about the grief that can occur hereafter? Well, the grief, meaning pain, can arise because of the karma or the actions performed in this life. These actions can be classified as punya and papa. Punya, the actions which are virtuous actions. Papa, the sinful actions. Punya papa dve chinta dukkamamusmikam bhavet. So chinta and anxiety pertaining to either punya karma or papa karma can bring about a future anxiety or a future grief. And wise man is free from that kind of a grief that can occur in future on account of his performing actions now. How is it? Because he knows himself as a self that is actionless, and therefore I don't perform any actions. And that is how he doesn't have what we call the sense of kartrutva, the doership. He does not even have the ego, the sense of individuality. Therefore he does not even identify with the actions that are performed in the past. So if I identify with the action, the ego, who existed in the past, then definitely there is a lot of sense of regret, because I may have done a lot of things which I recollect which I should not have done. And this happens at the time of death or in the old age, when people recollect what all they have done in the past, and all those actions come to haunt them. It says, what did I do? Why did I do that? So that brings about a sense of guilt, regret, or a sense of regret. Or why did I fail to do a given thing? That also can bring about in me a regret or a guilt. But since a wise man does not identify himself with the one who did that, because that is ego, that is all out of ignorance, he realizes the mithyatvam of the sense of doership, mithyatvam also of the actions performed, etc., and therefore he no more has any connection with what happened in the past. And so those things don't in any way create grief in him. How about the action that is performing now? There is no grief from them also, because just as example was given, just as the water does not in any way wet the leaf of a lotus, or the lotus petal, just as the water does not wet the lotus petal, and so the actions being performed by the wise man now do not affect him at all. Why? Because he does not have a sense of doership. In fact, the actions never affect the Atma, they never touch the Atma. But on account of the sense of doership that I entertain, as though I get connected to the actions and to the results also. The wise man doesn't get connected to the actions that are being performed by the body, because it does not have the identification either with the body or the mind, because meaning he is free from that sense of doership. And so, all right, the actions being performed in the present also do not in any way affect him. But how about the actions that are accumulated in the past births and that are waiting for him to enjoy it? So as I said the other day, actions are looked upon as consisting of three categories. We keep performing actions in the human embodiment. The jiva, the soul, keeps on performing actions, deliberate actions, moment to moment. These actions can be either punya or papa, can be either virtuous or vicious, and they create corresponding effects which all get accumulated in the account of this jiva. So we have a long-standing account. Our account is going on from the time beginningless, and things are getting deposited. They're like term deposits. So when a given deposit matures or fructifies, then we get the results of those deposits. So of all the actions that are being deposited, those which mature, they give rise to this embodiment, which is what we call prarabdha karma. Other deposits are all there waiting for maturity. So when this deposit is exhausted, some other deposit matures, and then that will be exhausted. That will become the prarabdha karma for the next birth. But how about all the sanchita karma, all the accumulated actions which are waiting to be experienced, exhausted in subsequent births? So even if the wise man is not affected by the prarabdha karma, meaning the actions that are given rise to this body, or agami karma, meaning the actions that are being performed after the knowledge, how about the actions that are performed in the past and that are waiting for him, to be exhausted? That is called sanchita karma. Sanchita karma vishaya vijinta jnanina nasti. Says no, wise man doesn't have to worry about all the actions performed in the past. Ishika trunatulasya vannidaha kshanadhyatha tasa sanchita karmasya dagdham bhavati vedanat. Just as the cotton from the munja grass, soft cotton, if you just throw it in the fire, how long does it take for that cotton to get burned? Instantaneously. And so also in the fire of knowledge, all the sanchita karma, all the accumulated actions, they all get instantaneously burned. This is what the Upanishad says. And now continuing with the verse 15, Uktarthe Bhagavad Vakyam ve pramanayati. Now the author quotes here his statement, two verses from Bhagavad Gita, in order to validate, in order to support what has been stated as to how the fire of knowledge burns all the actions. So the verse 15. Yathaidhamsi samidhagnihi Yathaidhamsi samidhagnihi Bhasmasat kurute arjuna Bhasmasat kurute arjuna Jnanagnis sarva karmani Jnanagnis sarva karmani Bhasmasat kurute tatha Bhasmasat kurute tatha. Yatha edhamsi samidha agnihi Bhasmasat kurute arjuna Jnanagnihi sarva karmani Bhasmasat kurute tatha. Lord Krishna addresses Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, yatha, just as samidha agnihi, just as a fire that is wet, that blazing fire, the fire that is very well lit or very well kindled, yatha edhamsi bhasmasat kurute, in well lit fire, if you throw what we call the firewood, bhasmasat kurute, that fire turns all that firewood into ash, converts it into ash. That's a very beautiful example. See, the firewood is very heavy. When it is wood, if you carry it on your head, there is a heavy burden. But then when you throw it in the fire, then it what? Turns into ashes. No weight at all. You can take those very ashes and smear on the body. That becomes a vibhuti. Vibhuti means what? Glory. Word vibhuti has several meanings. So vibhuti also means glory. So all that which was burdened so far, all these actions like this heap of actions, like that the heap of the wood, just as that was all a burden so far, all of them becomes now his vibhuti. So how the fire, and also all kinds of wood, doesn't matter what kind of wood you throw into the fire, it all turns into ash, which is the same. There is no distinction in the ash. There is some distinction in the wood, all right, but once the wood is burned by the fire, it loses all its distinction. And similarly also, all the actions, sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, papa karma, punya karma, whatever actions are there, when these actions are subjected to the fire of knowledge, and so knowledge is very well compared to fire. Fire does two things, fire burns and fire illumines. Similarly also, knowledge burns and knowledge illumines. What does knowledge, so fire dispels the darkness, knowledge also dispels the darkness of ignorance. Fire burns, knowledge also burns all the impurities. So what does really knowledge do? It burns the impurity in the form of ahankara or the ego. That's the first thing that knowledge burns. By burning we mean it falsifies. So Shankaracharya, in explaining this verse in Bhagavad Gita, says that we don't have to imagine a conflagration of fire and then the karmas being burned in that sense. In short, karma or the actions do not get destroyed. Actually, when you throw this firewood into fire, the firewood really gets destroyed. The actions may not get destroyed, but they become ineffective as far as the wise man is concerned. Just as you have the seeds, which if you plant in the earth, soil, then they'll germinate and then give rise to sprouts. But suppose you roast the seeds, suppose these seeds are roasted, the roasted seeds will not germinate. And so also, normally the karma or the actions that have been performed, all of them will germinate in the form of karma phala, all the result of the action. However, in the fire of knowledge, all the actions are like roasted seeds, and therefore they become incapable of giving rise to the sprouts in the form of the karma phala of the wise man. And so, wise man doesn't have to experience the consequence of all the actions performed in the past, because he has no identification. The example is that of the dream. So just as all the actions that are performed in the dream, when I wake up, I have nothing to do with them. I may have committed a sin in the dream. I'm not liable to be punished in the waking state. Or I may have won a lottery of $1 million. I don't get a dime when I wake up. Why is it so? Because the one who performed the action in the dream is not the one who wakes up. So I realize, stand on the waker, I realize the mithyatvam, the falsity of the dream world. And thus, in the wake of the knowledge that I am the waker, how the effects of actions performed in the dream, it just gets totally destroyed, because it is mithya or false. And similarly also, the wise man is now woken up to his true nature. Yes sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanam evadvayam, says the Dakshinamurti Stotra. Prabodha samaye, when one wakes up. Prabodha is a word which means waking, but waking up to his true nature. So far he was sleeping. Anadimaya suptah yada jiva prabudhyate ajamanidrama swapnam advaitam buddhyate dada, says Gaudavadacharya, that this anadimaya suptah jiva, this jiva, the soul, the ignorant one, who is supta, who is sleeping. Anadimaya, in the beginningless sleep of maya or ignorance, the soul, the jiva, has been sleeping in the beginningless sleep of maya. But the sleep is where we see the dreams also. So in fact, what he considers all his wakeful experience are nothing but the dream that is created by this maya. Yada jiva prabudhyate, when he is awakened to his true nature by the teacher. Ajam anidram aswapnam advaitam, when he recognizes his nature as ajam, unborn. Then anidram, devoid of sleep. Aswapnam, devoid of dream. He actually discovers himself as a non-dual. And so the Dakshinamurti Stotra says, Yas sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanam evadvayam. Prabodha samaye, when he wakes up, and swatmanam evadvayam sakshat kurute, he realizes his own self, which is the non-dual. Meaning that he recognizes himself as all-inclusive. There is no separation with anything. Thus he recognizes himself as a non-dual self, that is self of all. In that awakening to one's own nature, then all the past, meaning the ego, has been falsified. Recognizes the sense of individuality arose on account of taking this body or the upadhi to be myself. And when he becomes free from that sense of individuality, meaning that ego is falsified, not destroyed, but like roasted, like the roasted seeds. The ego is there, the seed is there, looks like a seed, but doesn't have the seedness in there, as much as it does not sprout. And so ego is there, doesn't have the ego-ness. Like the snake is there, but the poison, the fangs have been removed, and therefore the snake has become harmless. And so the ego of the wise man becomes harmless, doesn't produce any results, and thus not being identified with the ego who performed all the actions in the past. You can say that the wise man has become free from the whole past. This is symbolized in the sannyasa diksha also. When the vows of renunciation, supposedly he is woken up to his true nature. He is dead, the past is gone. That's the reason why the name is, everything is gone. As I said, he performs his own shraddha ceremony. He gives his oblations to himself. He is as though the departed soul. That soul is departed. Symbolically. That's the reason why when a sannyasi dies, then also they don't cremate him. They don't perform any funeral rites and things like that, because supposedly the ego is not there. He is not going to be born again. There is nothing that departs for whom the rites are to be performed. So symbolically, this is what is being done. Thus, this 15th verse, this is a verse quoted from Bhagavad Gita in support of the contention or the position that the fire of knowledge burns all the actions, and thus sanchita karma also are no more there standing in account of the wise man. Jnanagni sarva karmani, there is a long discussion there. Sarva karmani means all the actions. Some people believe that when the knowledge takes place, all the actions get destroyed, and therefore the person should die. So this was a question that was asked of me when I went to the school in Michigan, and I was talking about the Vedic concept of wisdom and liberation and everything else. One boy asked me this question. So, from what you say, he says that when a person gains his knowledge, then he will die. So why do you say that? Because now he has nothing to accomplish, and so why should he continue to live? Because I introduced the whole idea of this rebirth, etc., saying that there is an agenda. And that's what makes me take the birth again in another embodiment. So when the agenda is not there, there is no cause to continue to live. He says, you are right, he doesn't have an agenda, but body has an agenda, and therefore it continues. Okay. But the point is that there is no agenda left. So some people believe that when the knowledge takes place, then the body should drop off. But we say that the body has its own agenda, prarabdha, and therefore, until the agenda is exhausted, the life continues. But as it will say subsequently, there is no real deliberate action being performed. Willful action, meaning there is no individual will involved there. This idea. And the 16th verse is a quotation from the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yasya naham krito bhavaha, yasya naham krito bhavaha, buddhir yasya na lipyade, buddhir yasya na lipyade, hatva pisa iman lokan, hatva pisa iman lokan, nahanti na nibadhyade, nahanti na nibadhyade. Yasya na ahankrito bhavaha. Then the 18th chapter, this is exactly the section that is being discussed in the weekend class these days, is Lord Krishna says, while explaining the mechanism of karma or the action, Paṃcitani mahabaho karanani nibodhame. So, hey Mahabaho, hey Arjuna, learn from me that these five factors are those which accomplish all the actions. So all the actions that are performed either by the body or by the speech or by the mind, all these actions are accomplished by these five factors. What are the five factors? The body, adhishthanam, the body. Karta, the doer, the agent. Karanam, the various karana. Karana means the various senses, like the mind, the organs of perception, the organs of action. Vividascha pratakcheshtaha, and the various activities of the sense organs in the mind. So body, the sense organs, the karta, the doer, the various activities of the sense organs. 4, and the 5th factor is Daivam, the grace of the respective devatas, respective presiding deities which enable us to perform these actions. So these are the 5 factors which are responsible for accomplishment of any action performed, any action that is good or bad, performed either by the body or the speech or by the mind. Atma is not one of the factors. The important thing is what? Whether there are 5 or 3 or 15, doesn't matter what they are. So how you count them? The point is, Atma or the self is not one of the factors that is involved in performance of action. Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuyah pashyatya kritabuddhitvat nasa pashyati durmatihi. Lord Krishna says, in spite of this being the case, that in accomplishment of any action, even though Atma is not involved, because Atma is Kevalaha, he is non-dual, he is absolute, he is actionless, and therefore he does not participate in performance of an action. It is true that without the presence of the self, nothing can be accomplished, no doubt, and still the self does not participate in performance of an action. Like the example of that music box. That music box which has a little solar battery, and when we hold it against the light, then the music starts from that box. So without the presence of a light, the music is not there. But you cannot say a light light is actually creating music. In the presence of light, the music takes place. And so also, in the presence of the self, the personality layers function and the action gets accomplished. But the Atma, the self, doesn't perform any action, meaning there is no doership in the self. Pashyati akrita buddhitvat. And still, if someone says that I am the doer, the Atma, the self is the doer, Akruta buddhitvat, that shows that he does not have the right kind of training. He does not have the exposure. He does not have the right understanding. Nasa pasyati durmatihi. And this person of ignorant intellect, he sees and still does not see. He doesn't see. He sees himself as a doer, which means that he does not see. Meaning somebody looks at the sky and sees two moons. So we say you don't see. Although he sees. I see. What do I see? What do you see? Two moons. But that means you don't see. Because when in place of one you are seeing two, so in spite of seeing, you do not see. Meaning what you see is false. And so also when a person brands the self as doer, enjoyer, that means that he does not see. Because the self who is non-doer or non-enjoyer is seen as a doer or enjoyer. And that is how Lord Krishna says, he does not see. On the other hand, one who sees the true nature of the self, what about him? Says here, yasya naham krito bhavaha buddhi yasya nilipyate. So the one who doesn't have ahankrutaha bhavaha, one who does not have this sense of ahankara, meaning sense of doership. Meaning one who knows that the sense of doership in the self is false. Karmani akarmayah pasyet, akarmani cha karmayah. Also said Lord Krishna in the 4th chapter of the Gita, that one who sees that even when the action is being performed, one who appreciates the self as actionless. He doesn't have ahankrito bhavaha. He does not have any identification with the karma or action. Meaning, he does not have any sense of doership. Buddhir yasya lipyate. And one whose buddhi or the intellect does not get tainted with sense of doership. Hatva pisaiman lokan nahanti nanibadhyate. Lord Krishna goes to the extent of saying that Iman lokan hatvapi. Because Arjuna is now, Lord Krishna is teaching this to Arjuna, who is supposed to perform the task of maybe killing thousands of people. Says Arjuna, one who knows the self to be non-doer, Iman lokan hatvapi. In spite of killing all these people also, nahanti, he does not kill, nanibadhyate, he does not get bound by the results also. Amazing. In spite of killing all these people, he does not kill. So killing is just an illustration. Killing here stands for any action. In case of Arjuna, the context being Arjuna in the battlefield, therefore the Lord gives the illustration of this killing as a typical action. But it is not only meant that if he does some other action that he is bound, even after killing, which is the most terrible action. And so, in spite of killing all these people, which will be a horrible thing to do, nahanti, he does not kill. Then who kills? He does not kill because he does not have that sense of doership. And therefore, even though appearing to do, meaning from the standpoint of other people, even though he appears to do things, from his own standpoint, he does not do anything. So hatvapi, in spite of killing, that the Lord represents the standpoint of the onlookers. Nahanti, he does not kill, meaning that represents his own standpoint. Somebody may feel that it is electricity that is turning the fan, because the fan is turning. There was no turning of the fan when the electricity was not there, and when the electricity is there, now the fan is rotating. That means the electricity is rotating the fan. That would be from the standpoint of an onlooker. From the standpoint of electricity, so I don't rotate anything. In my presence, the fan rotates. And so, nahanti nanibadhyate. And therefore, he does not get nibadhyate, does not get bound to the results also. Because who gets bound to the result? One who performs the action gets bound to the result. When he does not perform the action, doesn't get bound to the result also. In short, these are the verses, these two verses are quoted from Bhagavad Gita in support of this contention that a wise man becomes free from all the actions primarily because he is free from the sense of doership. And therefore, number one, he doesn't in any way get connected to the results performed by the ego in the past because he is no more identified with that, nor does he generate any new results because even though the actions are being performed through his body, he doesn't have the sense of doership and therefore no new results are also generated. In that sense, this is called the mukti or the freedom from karma. So in India, in the context, the Vedic context, this bondage of karma or action is a very big bondage. This is the complex that everybody has there. Perhaps a release from bondage of karma may not be very relevant in other places. But in India, where people believe in the past birth and rebirth, there is a tremendous importance of being bound by the karma, that whatever I am doing is going to bind me, that it will force me to take another birth. Those who don't believe in another birth, they have no problem with this. But then those who accept the other birth, they know that by performing karma, in fact, I am creating the potential of the next birth and so forth. And therefore, in that context, it is said that one becomes free from the bondage of karma altogether. And the author goes even a step further. This was, the Gita verse was quoted in context of a battlefield, that in spite of killing all these people in the battlefield, one doesn't kill them. Now, continuing, asmin evarthe, in the same sense, there is a statement in Kaushitaki Upanishad, another Upanishad, and when it says something which is, which is very difficult or very disturbing or very terrible, it says, na matruvadhena, na pitruvadhena, na stena, na bhruna-hatyaya, nasti papam chana, chakrusho mukhan neelam veti iti. Says, referring to the wise man, even if he kills the mother, or kills father, or even if he commits a theft, or bhruna-hatyaya, or even if he kills an embryo, they are all considered to be the most heinous sins, to kill mother or father, or to kill an embryo, the child in the womb of the mother. All of these are considered to be the most horrible sins. Suppose a wise man does this, nasya papam chana, he does not actually create any sin for himself. All right, but he must have some sense of guilt for doing all these things. Nasya pavam chana chakrusha mukhan neelam veti. Or even the countenance on his face does not in any way get disturbed. So you find the same pleasant countenance on his face in spite of performing his actions. Meaning that he doesn't have any sense of guilt. Even a sense of guilt does not arise in him, or he doesn't get any papa in spite of performing these most horrible things. So this statement from Kaushitaki Upanishad is being explained in the verse 17 here. Mata pitrorvadhasteyam bhruna hatyanyadridrisham na muktim nashayet papam mukhakantirna nashyati. Mata pitroho vadha. If he does vadha means killing. So if he kills mother or father. Steyam, if the steyam meaning theft is committed by him. Bhruna hatya, or even if he kills an embryo. Anyat idrisham, or any such heinous act he may perform. Na muktim nashayet. Even such heinous acts also do not in any way destroy his mukti or liberation. Meaning, he continues to remain a liberated person in spite of performing these kind of acts. So don't think that this is a license for a wise man to do anything he likes. That's not the idea. You don't expect anybody to do this, by the way. You do not expect a wise man to do any of these things. And still, this is what we call arthavada. This merely, they extol the knowledge, extol the wisdom, and extol also the knowledge of the self who is actionless. To extol that knowledge, it is said that a wise man who abides in this knowledge of the self that is actionless, suppose he happens to kill mother or father, and there are examples. There is an occasion where somebody killed his mother. You know who did? There is incarnation of Lord Narayana. His name was Parashurama. So, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrasimha, Vamana, Parashurama, sixth incarnation. He was the son of a Brahmin, a great sage, Jamadagni. Jamadagni was a great sage, but a very angry. Many of the sages in India were angry people for whatever reason, I guess, So sages have been known to be very angry. Not all of them, but many of them. So Jamadagni also was a sage, very angry, like fire. Because they must be performing a lot of penance. And that builds up fire inside, I guess, because penance requires a tremendous amount of self-control, and so there's a building up a lot of fire. And so Jamadagni also was was known for his anger. The name of his wife was Renuka, and she was a very devoted wife and devoted lady. It seems one morning she went for a bath at the river, right? Every day. Every morning she must be going there for a bath. This morning also she went. And the story is that at that time, some Gandharva means those celestial beings, they're supposed to be known for their fun and their sport and things like that. So some Chitrarasa, the king of the Gandharvas, had come with his many wives there, and they were all sporting in the early morning. They were all sporting in that water. And this lady happened to reach there at that time, and she saw this sport for some time, which also one should not do, but she did. That's all. That's all the sin that she had committed. And when she returned after the bath, the face showed a certain, the natural the countenance that she had, and the luster which was there on the face. It seems that the luster, was not there when she returned. And her husband found out that this is what had happened, that she watched this kind of sporting, of the Gandharvas, and thus she had committed a sin. He was angry. And so he had 3 sons. The youngest was Parashurama, who was ill. So he asked his son, the eldest son, he says, "Come on, kill your mother." He says, "No, I can't do that." Asked his second son, "You do that." "I cannot do that." Then Parashurama returned from somewhere. "Parashurama, kill your mother." Then Parashurama used to have an axe. He always used to, that's why it's called Parashurama. His name was Rama. So there are so many Ramas. So son of Dasharatha also is Rama. And Lord Krishna's elder brother also was Rama. But the other Rama that are qualified as Parashurama, Balarama. And so Parashurama was, and then he took his Parashu, the axe, and chopped off the head of the mother, just to the instance of his father's command. Father was mightily pleased. He said, "Tell me, what do you want? Ask of anything from me." He says, "Please restore the life of my mother." And that's how, of course, the mother's life was restored. But this is a story, which sounds a terrible story. I mean, when you tell this story, you can see the expression on the face of it. What? That a sage is like that? And that a son can do this? And I will not at the moment take the responsibility of answering all these questions. But the point is, this is just in reference to what is being said here, that the children, when, what happens is, these parents in all enthusiasm tell the stories to the children, all these kind of stories, and the children are just, what? Is this what the scriptures are teaching us? And poor parents have no answer at all, So many of the stories, some of the stories are like that, which are rather embarrassing. But anyway, this is the story of Vadha, of killing of the mother. But he was untainted by that, because there was no doership there. Simply a response to the command of the father, which he considered as dharma. This is all in respect to dharma as it was understood at that time. Just as Lord Rama also, he went to forest. He left this kingdom of Ayodhya and went to forest, just on the command of the father. So then when he went to his mother, Kausalya, asking for permission to let him go to the forest, mother said, "No, I don't give you permission. So I am your mother and I command you to remain here." So if your father has given a command to go to the forest, I am your mother and I am giving you command to remain here. He says, "No, father's command is greater, whatever it is, that's a dharma." And so what is great, and all this is determined by Dharma Shastra. So don't ask me why is it so and why it is not so. But the point is that he accepted the father's command as dharma. And that is how the upbringing was. So Parshurama's upbringing also was like that, and that's how he must have done it. But the point there is that for a wise man, even act as heinous an act as that does not in any way taint him. Mata Pitror Vadhasteyam. Lord Krishna did all kinds of stealing, So Lord Krishna used to every day steal butter and things like that from the houses, but then he is still not called a sinner. In fact, he demonstrated that, you see, everywhere he says, I am the self of all. Vasudeva means he is the self of all. And therefore, to demonstrate that everybody is divine, in their true nature, he himself took the role of everything. He took the role of the one who was playing mischief and harassing people and stealing things and all kinds of things they did. The child's pranks. But therefore, if you see a thief and remember Lord Krishna stealing something, then maybe you can see that in the thief also the same Lord abides. Anyway, so it is not that a particular act really which is punya or papa. It is what is the intention behind the act, whether there is any doership behind the act or not. And so, Bhruna Hatya, Anyat Idrisham, Karma, or acts of this kind, na muktim nasayet. These acts also do not in any way destroy the mukti or the liberation of the wise man, do not in any way stifle or compromise the fact that he is liberated. Mukhakantirna nashyati, and more important than that he also knows he remains free. In spite of performing the action, there is no guilt in him. And so the luster on his face is not in any way lost in spite of doing. That shows that he is not doing it because if anybody performs an act like that, there is going to be a tremendous sense of guilt and regret. And that's going to show on your face. But here you find that even the luster on the face is not affected. That shows that it doesn't have a sense of guilt which would arise from a sense of doership or kartrutva. This is, as we said, a tremendous exaggeration for the purpose of extolling the knowledge. It doesn't mean that we have to follow Parshurama and things like that, and we have to do that kind of thing, or that we have to necessarily follow what is stated in this verse and consider it our license to perform whatever actions we want. It is not so. But just to extol the knowledge, often we find these kind of statements. In Bhagavad Gita also Lord says that, as he said, just hatva api saiman lokan nahantina nibadhyate. In spite of killing all these people, he does not kill, nor does he get bound. Sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Says Lord in another place, Sarvatha vartamanopi. However he conducts himself, he still abides in me. Inasmuch as he does not conduct. Actually, we expect the wise man to be spontaneously good. We expect him to be spontaneously in harmony with the order of the nature, and therefore we don't expect him to perform any action that is unbecoming. All that is said is that at the same time what is meant here is that we should not necessarily judge the great people by our own standard and thus judge them that they have done something good or bad, because unless we understand their perspective, it is very difficult to judge the actions performed by them. That also is intended here. So in these verses, the author has discussed the first aspect, or the first kind in which the happiness of the wise man is described. That is called dukkha bhavaha, a freedom from any kind of guilt, any kind of grief, a grief that arises from hurt and guilt, from anxieties, from worries. All of these are because of kartrutva, or a sense of doership, and therefore he is free from that. Then second one was kamaptihi. Another way that the Upanishads describe, the scriptures describe the happiness of the wise man is kamaptihi, attainment of all the pleasures. So wise man attains as though all the pleasures. And to make that point, the author illustrates that point or supports that. Ukta chaturvidhya madhye dvitiya prakaramaha. Now the second kind, namely kama, the attainment of all the kama, all the pleasures, is being said in the verse 18. Dukkha bhava devasya दुःखाभाववेद्वदेवास्य सर्वकामाप्तिरीरिता सर्वकामाप्तिरीरिता सर्वान् कामान् सावाप्त्वा ह्यमृतो भवदित्यतः दुःख अभाववत् एव अस्य सर्वकामाप्तिः ईरिता श्रुत्या. Just as the Shruti of the Upanishad say that the wise man becomes free from all the grief, similarly also we find that Shruti of the Upanishad say, Dukkha abhavat, just as he becomes free from all the grief, asya, for this wise man, sarva kamaptihi irita. So the Shruti also says that sarva kamaptihi, the wise man also attains all the desired ends, or all the pleasures. Not that he experiences all the pleasures, but then whatever one would experience, if all the pleasures were simultaneously experienced, whatever would be the joy or the happiness, that is the kind of happiness that is there in the wise man, for the wise man. Asmin narthe aitareya shruti vakyam arthatah pathate. And to make this point, to explain this, in the second line of the 18th verse, the author quotes means explains a certain passage from Aitareya Upanishads. Almost quoted, but there is some slight change in the word, so you can say that he explains that passage from Aitareya Upanishad. Aitareya Upanishad is the Upanishad belonging to Rig Veda. In the 10 major Upanishads, we have the Upanishads belonging to Rig Veda, and Aitareya Upanishad is Rig Veda. Yajurveda, the Kathopanishad is Yajurveda. Ishavasya is Yajurveda. Brihadaranyaka is Yajurveda. And of the Yajurveda also has two branches, the Krishna Yajurveda and Shukla Yajurveda, and Taittiriya Upanishad. So Kathopanishad and Taittiriya belong to Krishna Yajurveda, Ishavasya and Brihadaranyaka belong to Shukla Yajurveda. And Samaveda, Kyanopanishad, Chandogya Upanishad. And Atharvaveda, Mundaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad. This is how. So Aitareya Shruti Vakyam, Sarvan Kaman Asau Avaptva Hi Amrutaha Abhavat Ityadaha. Asau Aptva. So Sarvan Kaman Asau means this wise man, Sarvan Kaman Aptva, having attained all the Kama, all the pleasures. So Kama can mean pleasure, or Kama also can mean the object of sense. So having attained all the pleasure, Amrutaha Bhavata, the wise man became Amrutaha, he became immortal. This is what Aitareya Upanishad says about the wise man. Having attained all the pleasures, he became immortal. Then quotes from Chandogya Upanishad. This is the Samaveda. Jakshan Kridan Ramamanah Stribhirva Yanirva Jnanibhirva Ajnanibhirva Vayasyirva Na Upajanam Smaranna Idam Shariramidi Chandogya Shruti Vakyam Arthatah Pathati. So Chandogya Upanishad describing also the wise man. So the description of the happiness of the wise man is always in terms of the other wise people. See, when they describe what is the experience of a wise man, that experience also has to be described only in the terms that other people are familiar with. And therefore the happiness of a wise man also is described in what we call the local terms. And so says Jakshan, eating or laughing. Jakshan can mean two meanings. So eating or laughing. Kridan, sporting. Ramamanaha, rejoicing. Stribhirva, Yanirva, either with women, Yanirva, or with vehicles, Jnanibhirva, either with learned or wise people, Ajnanibhirva, or with ignorant people, Vayasyirva, or with friends. So this is how you find, either with women, with vehicles, with wise people, learned people, ignorant people, with friends, with all these people. Jakshan Kridan Ramamanaha, eating, laughing, sporting, rejoicing. So these are the terms that we know. When will you be happy? When you're eating, or laughing, eating something that you desire, or laughing, rejoicing, sporting. This is how the happiness of an ordinary person is really expressed. And therefore in those terms, and when do you feel happy? Either sporting with women, or with vehicles, or with learned people, or with sometimes your friends and so forth. So this is how ordinary people get their happiness. And therefore, in those terms, the Upanishads often describes the happiness of the wise man, because in no other terms can we describe. This is the happiness that people are familiar with. So in the familiar terms, the happiness of the wise person also is described. No upajanam smaran idam shariram. At that time, idam shariram na smaran. At that time, even when he is sporting, the wise man is not even, it does not remember this body. He is not aware of the body. Upajanam, that which is right in front of him. So this body of his, which is right in front of him, that also he does not remember. In short, he doesn't have identification of the body. He doesn't sport and laugh and etc. as an individual. This is the idea. All those, so when there is happiness, the happiness may express itself in those forms, that's alright. But na upajanam smaran idam shariram, that this body also, without remembering this body, meaning not being identified with the body, this is how. Iti chandogya srutivakyam arthatah pathati. The statement from Chandogya Upanishad is now pathati. The teacher here quotes the meaning of that statement from Chandogya Upanishad. Jakshan kridan ratim praptah, Jakshan kridan ratim praptah, Stribhiryanaistathetaraih, Stribhiryanaistathetaraih, Shariram nasmaret pranah, Shariram nasmaret pranah, Karmana jivayedamam, Karmana jivayedamam. Same thing, jakshan means eating or laughing. Kridan means sporting. Ratim praptah or rejoicing. Rati also means to have love for something. So ratim praptah, rejoicing. Stribhir yanais tatha itaraihi, either with women, yanaihi with vehicles, itaraihi with other people. So this is how the happiness of the wise man is described. In short, this is what an ordinary person desires. And thus the idea here is that the wise man seems to experience that happiness which is equal to all the pleasures that an ignorant person would desire. And so in those terms the happiness of the wise man is described. Shariram na smaret. He does not even remember his body. Meaning he is not conscious of the body. He is not identified with the body. And if he is not identified with the body or not conscious of the body, then how is the body sustained? If he does not sustain his body, who sustains the body? Pranaha karmana jivayed amum. Pranaha amum karmana jivayed. It is the prana. It is this vital air that actually keeps him alive. In short, it is the prarabdha that keeps him alive. Wise man is the one who has completely surrendered himself to the altar of destiny. He doesn't have any free will at all in that sense. In the sense that there is nothing to be accomplished at the level, individual level, and therefore there is no demand, there is no free will. Then who controls his life? The destiny controls his life. In short, he has completely surrendered himself at the altar of destiny. And that is what is meant here when it is said, Pranaha karmana amum jivayed. It is the prana that keeps him alive. Okay, fine, we'll continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. शान्तिः। शङ्करम् शङ्कराचार्यम् केशवम् बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।